Buenas noches or evening, señoritas y señoritos. Many long-time VAT subscribers will remember VAT repeatedly blogging as early as when Marcos assumed office in June 2022. We have always blogged that President Marcos should really sacrifice the Dutertes. President Marcos should really support the investigation. President Marcos should condemn the extrajudicial killings. And President Marcos should make it right with the Filipino people. Because he has the baggage brought about by his infamous father, the late dictator, former President Ferdinand E. Marcos. Parati natin siya sinasabihan, Mr. President, sacrifice the Dutertes in exchange for promoting the interests of the Philippines. It took so long for him to do that. Kailangan mag-away pa sila, kailangan mag-insultuhan pa sila, and then later on na, pinapasok niya yung ICC. Later on na, nagbago yung tono. In fact, early this year or late last year, nagbago yung tono ng Solicitor General, nagbago yung tono ng Department of Justice, si Boying Remulla na Duterte Boy. Pero still, kahit no matter how devilish, how libelous, how insulting yung mga banat ng mga Duterte at saka ng mga nila Kibuloy, yung mga orgy at mga sex orgy and drug session, still mayroon pang statement si President Marcos na hindi pa rin natin nire-recognize yung ICC, yung Rome Statute na sinasabi pwede pa rin investigahan at habulin yung crime committed when we were still with the ICC or previous to the years 2019 kung saan tinanggal tayo ni President Duterte sa ICC. And I kept telling the President in my blog, Mr. President, hindi alam ng mundo na tumigil na yun yung mga extrajudicial killings. Hindi alam ng mundo na tumigil na yung violation of suppression of press freedom. You have to tell the world in a very clear term that you support the ICC. Pero ang problema, dahil sa politika, sa political play, ayaw talaga niya tuluyan magkasira-sira na sila ng mga Duterte. Kung wari, binabola-bola pa niya, sinasabi-sabi pa niya, hindi natin kahit lalabas pa yung arrest warrant, hindi natin implement yan. Anong magawa nila kung hindi natin implement? So, sa buong mundo, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang ICC sa mata ng mundo to people out of this country. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung extrajudicial killings at sa buong mundo, ang tingin pa rin kay Marcos, konsentidor ng mga Duterte. At again, Mel, you remember that? And Dennis Staples na parati natin binablog yan. Unfortunately, may tama na naman si VAT. May tama na naman. Naging totoo na naman yung sinabi natin na Mr. President, sinabi natin nung time pa na walk out yung mga UN members, his speech ni President Marcos sa UN Assembly. I know. Kasi yung daughter ko, nag-speech rin dyan sa UN Assembly. When it was her turn to speak, walang umalis na delegasyon ng ibang bansa. Nadagdagan pa. Because they were interested to see what my daughter will be talking about. At na-vlog ko yun, di ba? Meron tayo yung vlog from the United Nations Human Rights Commission. So, kay Marcos, na-walk out. That's why I said in my blog, dapat Mr. President, masama na nga tingin sa'yo because of your father. You are the fighter for human rights. Habang nyo na yung mga Dutertes. Hindi pa, hanggang ngayon. nakikipaglaro pa siya sa mga Dutertes by not publicly saying ipapa-aresto niya mga ito kung may lumabas ng warrant of arrest. Tuloy, dahil ang tingin ng buong mundo ay hindi pa nagbago yung sitwasyon dito, ayun, pinahiya siya sa Australian Parliament as he was speaking today. Ang masakit, headline ito buong mundo. Kaya kahit pagod na si VAT, low VAT na si VAT, I have to report this. Baka sabihin na naman ng mga pro-Duterte, bias tayo, pinoprotektahan natin pag negative news kay Marcos. So we will report this as it is. Na naging tama si VAT. The world, until you make a strong statement against the Dutertes, especially relative to their case sa ICC, ang tingin pa rin sa inyo ng mundo, and we don't blame them, they're outside of the Philippines, ay kino-continue nyo lang yung EJ case no Duterte. Sinusuppress nyo rin yung press freedom. So eto, kunin natin sa all over the world, guys, wherever you turn, wherever you go online, it's there. At sikat yung senator, si Green, ano pa pangalan? Rice. Si Senator Green na nagprotesta. Na-kick out naman siya. Na-kick out siya ng parliament. Pero yun nga, mas lumaki yung issue. Mas lumaki yung news sa Sky News ng Australia.
Joining me live in the studio is the Green Senator Janet Rice. Thanks for your time. You've had a busy morning. You're thrown out of the
House
of Reps. You're not normally in there, but
no, it was the joint sitting to hear from President Marcos.
And you weren't happy that he was invited.
I was appalled that he was invited to address our Parliament.
These are the pictures of your protest. It was
basically the sign that
pretty much a silent protest. You held up the sign.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't wanting to cause a fuss, but I thought I really.
Yung sign niya, stop the human rights abuses. Tayo, alam natin, walang nag-aano human rights abuses. Kahit ang policy nga niya, hindi na papatayin, kundi arestuhin yung mga drug lords. In fact, yung 1,000 police generals and colonels, pina-floating. That's a good act. And then naimbestigahan na niya yung 4.7 billion na shabu cover-up nila Abalos. In fairness, hindi na nila tinutuloy yung policy ni Duterte. But for playing politics by not straight ahead condemning the Dutertes relative to their EJK cases at sinasabi pa hindi natin i-allow yung ICC as early as last week. Sinabi na naman niya wala nang power or authority dito sa atin yung ICC. And the world, yun ang nakikita ng mundo. Kaya stop the human rights abuse ni Senator Rice sa Australia. All over the world, nasa world news na. Whatever channel, Washington Post, New York Post, whatever, Al Jazeera, whatever, andyan na.
Needed to make a statement about the human rights abuses that are continuing in the Philippines under President Marcos. He's continued the policies of his predecessor, Duterte. There's currently an international criminal court investigation into the practices and the thousands of killings under Duterte's president, extrajudicial killings, as environmentalists work.
Mali siya. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin daw yung EJK killings hanggang ngayon. Mali siya. But who is to blame? President Marcos. Dahil hindi pa talaga niya sinasabi, magko-cooperate kami sa ICC. Never pa niya sinabi. Although, sa likod natin at sa likod niya, sinasabi niya sa mga opisyalis niya, huwag niyo harangin yung ICC investigator. Pero kailangan pakinggan sa kanya yung kinokondena niya, yung EJ case, at sumusuporta siya sa ICC. She should tell that to the world and to the Filipino people.
Because trade unionists being jailed, we've got,
So
killings.
you don't believe he should have been invited to
He should
address the
not have been
Parliament?
invited. It was whitewashing the appalling human rights abuses that are going on under his government.
He hasn't been.
O, sana daw hindi na-invite kasi
President, is there rock solid evidence that those extrajudicial
Absolutely.
killings?
andyan pa rin ang mamayagpag. Si President Duterte, si Sara, si Bato, si Bongo. Walang ginagawa ang pulis, walang ginagawa ang CIDG, walang ginagawa ang NBI, walang ginagawa ang DOJ. May tama siya.
The judicial system is broken, and that under the guise of anti-terrorism, you've still got massive attacks, you've got bombings of regional communities. And the reason I did it was because of the Filipino community here in Australia. They reached out to me. There were a number of open letters that were sent to all parliamentarians, asking parliamentarians to really note what the appalling human rights record of President Marcos is, and the whitewashing of the dictatorship of his father as well.
Yeah, well, we do remember his father. Well, some of us do. But when you held the sign up, you were then, what happened? You were escorted out?
Yes, there was a note from the speaker that was sent to me with the Sergeant of Arms asking me to leave the chamber because of disorderly conduct. So I was proud to have been there to hold up the sign, and I left the chamber.
Oh, okay. So you weren't escorted out, you just received a note?
Yes, well, the Sergeant of Arms escorted me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you followed the request.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, I speak up for human rights abuses wherever they occur in the world, whether it's the Philippines, whether it's China, whether it's here in Australia, Myanmar, Afghanistan, and I really felt it was my responsibility to be speaking up for
Did you have a second
people.
thought, though, in terms of the fact that it was a big moment in Australia-Philippines relations?
Look, no, and I really support the Filipino community. I really want to emphasise how I've got a huge amount of respect and support for the Filipino community and the people of the Philippines, but they deserve better as in their government than people who are,
You weren't worried that it would undermine our efforts to build ties with Manila?
We need to have human rights at the centre of all of our relationships with other countries. If we turn a blind eye to human rights, that's an attack on democracy and it's an attack on ourselves, because human rights matter no matter where people are living in the world.
Just as I said, you got a big day thrown out of the House of Reps, but you've also got today the anti-poverty report. Right. We've spoken about it before. What's it found?
Yes, well, yesterday we tabled the final report of my inquiry.
Okay, yun na guys. There you have it. Sayang. Unfairly, alam naman natin, hindi niya tinuloy yung EJ case ng mga Duterte. Pero unfairly, nababanatan rin siya. And this will happen in many other countries na bibistahin niya. Unless he will make a categorical statement saying na he supports the ICC investigation, dapat panagutan yung mga Duterte sa ginawa nila. At kung ma-serve na yung warrant of arrest, he will provide the help of the Philippine National Police to serve the warrant and to arrest the Dutertes. So he has himself to blame for this fiasco. Sayang, masakit. Maganda sana because tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, we will play to you yung speech, yung press conference niya or formal address niya and the Australian Prime Minister. Yung magaganda naman yung ginagawa nila. I've been to Australia. Ang daming Pinoy dyan. They will fight, they will work for the interest of the 400 Phil Australian. Ang dami sa inyo dito sa mga vlog counter, sa vlog channel, mga Phil Australian. And then tutulungan rin nila na papasok na mas marami makapagtrabaho ng maraming Pilipino doon, and tutulungan rin yung Australia yung laban natin sa China. Bibigyan tayo ng mga barko, magjo-join patrol sa atin, which is good. That's why that will be our post at 7 o'clock this morning. Tomorrow morning. Yun lang, nasira lang dahil dito. nasira lang dahil dito. And as I said earlier, it is his fault. Kaya wag ka na mamangka sa dalawang ilog, Mr. President. Either you support the interest of the Filipinos only, or you support the interest of the Dutertes. You cannot go middle ground. Otherwise, the world will continue to condemn you. Kasi meron na nga baggage ka sa ginawa ng tatay mo. Binanggit rin yun sa news ngayon eh. So that's what you should be doing. And to hit my suggestion made June 2022 pa. So dito na muna tayo guys. Low bat na talaga si Bat. Tumaas na naman yung BP pero sige lang. Ito ang kuwan natin last update sa inyo. So thank you everyone for watching. Sila Imelda Talagon, sila Belsi, sila Bituin Quinto, Denise Staples, and everyone else. Nicolas Logroño, Basilia Flores, and many more. Seven Samurai. Mucho y mas gracias a todos. And see you in my next vlog at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Na good news naman sa anong napag-agrihan ng Australian Prime Minister at si President Bongbong Marcos. Buenas noches a todos ustedes.